Welcome to the Late Night Roast Show. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. If you missed the last one, this is our second show. If you missed the last one, if this is your first time here, this is the Late Night Roast Show. Late night talk show style stream where I come on, we'll talk a little bit of gaming news, creator news, social media news, just kind of hang out, catch up. We'll take a short break, and then I have another content creator guest on each night. Tonight is ChrispyGamePlay. Super excited. Awesome dude. I've been in his streams every day that he's streamed for the past month or so. He's awesome. A lot's happened. Our first show was last week. A lot's happened since then. We had Game Awards, which was really cool. That went really well. I feel like, and we'll talk a bit more about this later with Crispy, I think games are in a weird spot right now. A lot of people are kind of upset with them and how things are going, but then there was the few highlights, right? Like Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok and Stray. Really like the games that just kind of came out instant success. They were great, even if the launch was a little rocky. Really well received, so I hope people, companies and devs can, I guess mainly the companies, can take that feedback and actually be productive with it, and we can have more good releases, more good games next year with a lot less problems. I think that would make the Game Awards a lot more interesting. Everybody was already waiting for what Ragnarok. They knew it was going to be a Ragnarok Elden Ring show. It wasn't for the most part, but kind of. But I think, yeah, if things worked out better, we'd have a lot better, a lot more interesting Game Awards show. And more, even better contenders for Game of the Year next year, which probably Bill Clinton will be announcing the Game of the Year next year. Maybe, who knows? And speaking of old things that people are tired of, the good old wonderful what is art debate is back, right? And the whole push for AI stuff. There was a big kind of block out thing from some company today I saw. And I saw a lot of arguments today for AI art. As someone who took art history, minored in art history in college, took art in high school, people trying to say it's just like photography, it's just like graphic design, it's revolutionary, you just gotta give it a chance, it's gonna push things to the next era. And the next era is everybody having either 14 fingers or 0 fingers. I don't know about that one. I don't know if that's a future I want. And they say this AI art can make anything, and I've seen all these posts of, yeah, it's made of a lot of stuff, made all kinds of stuff. It just doesn't work out. It can make all these things because these people are sourcing it from what they know and sourcing it from stolen art, or they're taking from other artists. This AI art can make anything and everything except depict someone touching grass, because God knows these people doing this art have not seen grass in the past 30 years or so. It's the one drawback to it all. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go make some coffee because I'm nervous. I'm still a little nervous doing this. But I appreciate everyone being here. We'll take a quick break, and when I come back, we'll talk with ChrispyGamePlay. The Late Night Roast Show is partnered with Agent Ink Apparel. Use command merch in chat to browse the Coffeehouse merch store. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Late Night Roast Show. Our guest tonight is a full-time Twitch partner, streamer, content creator, previously a professional brewer, and a bunny dad. Everyone, help me welcome in Crispy Gameplay. Crispy, hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Up? Oh, just hanging in there. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, thank you for being here. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us what you're about.
Well, if you don't know who I am, my name is ChrispyGamePlay. I'm a variety streamer on Twitch. I am a former professional brewer, and I take that knowledge where it translates into streaming. There's not many areas where it does, but and I do a lot of variety content, a lot of horror content, stuff like that.
Nice.
I also do a lot of charity fundraising for the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So how long have you done all this full time?
Well, oh man, so I've been doing.
It's always a fun question.
Yeah, no, it's always weird to look at kind of your life's journey, and this is one of those questions that kind of like sets off not a long story, but like a rambling story.
Oh yeah.
But I've been doing it for about 2 years. I started streaming full time. Actually, I'd always done full time. I've streamed for 5 years, but I never thought I would make it into a full time thing until COVID. Honestly, COVID came around. I lost my brewing job, and there was really not many ways for me to figure out kind of a source of income. At that time, so I was like, I'm still doing the streaming thing. Things were getting were getting better, and I was pushing towards partner. I wasn't a partner yet, but at the end of the first year of COVID, I got partnership, and I was like, okay, I could partnership's the first step, but I could probably make this a full-time thing, and if I keep working at it. And so I've been doing it for about 2 years, and I've been streaming for about 5 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's been a long time, since 2017. It's gonna be my 6th year of streaming. So, yeah, it doesn't seem like a long time when I think about it, but realizing, oh shit, this is my 6th year of streaming. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, thinking back, your first one, it's that wasn't that long ago. But once you say that number, then I mean, my first stream was 2018, and I'm like, oh yeah, first stream back on my Xbox. Oh, that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's so weird. I've been on Twitch since basically it was Justin TV. My account.
Oh wow.
It's always funny. I like doing this thing where I'm like, all right, hold on, you type in your chat. I'll say hi, right? So if you click on my name, it tells you when the account was created. My account creation date is actually before Twitch existed, because it's a legacy account because it's from Justin TV.
Whoa.
which is kind of just a fun little party conversation thing. But so I've always enjoyed Twitch and stuff, and Justin TV and streaming. I watched for years and years before I became a streamer. So it's always kind of funny to look back and be like, oh my god, it's been 12 years since I discovered this thing called Twitch.
It's been around that long, even.
Yeah.
This year I finally had the time to sit down and start checking out more creators, and then you were on Detune's Paranormal Detour, which was really cool, and that had the premiere, right?
Yeah. The premiere, it's all on YouTube, but the premiere for the short edit, the nice consumable edit, which I think is about an hour and a half. It was really cool, because watching that, that experience was amazing. 100 out of 10 would do it again. But going back and then rewatching it as a viewer, it was bizarre. It was the coolest thing. And Jordan is a genius.
Oh yeah.
The things that he does in the background to get that production going is just incredible. But that experience itself was just so much different from anything I'd ever experienced before. I've always loved ghost hunting and paranormal stuff, but in terms of going out and doing it in a live stream with equipment, you feel like a pro ghost hunter. You're like, this is great, this is awesome. It was a lot of fun.
You said at the end you're still kind of more on the skeptic side. Did watching that back change anything? Because there's a lot of stuff you guys caught after the fact.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that are very interesting. The EVPs are always going to be weird. I can't really explain it. It's out of the realm of me being able to explain things like that. Is it our brain telling us that this noise is like a voice? Is it, it could be a number of things, but I think that it's important, like in the conversation of like skepticism and stuff, that it's all about experience, and a lot of things that even on our hunt that I've seen is through other people or through recorded footage and stuff. I've never personally experienced something still to this day, even being in that place, in that prison, which was spooky at times. That has really changed my output or my outlook, not outlook in terms of, what I believe in terms of just, I'm a skeptic that wants to believe, but I also realize that like there are a lot of things that we can't explain in our life, in our world. And, not everything necessarily needs or can be explained. So, I'm still searching.
I get that. Yeah. Not everything can be explained, like what I did the other day. I don't know. It's a mystery to everybody.
That's my daily mystery is what did I do yesterday?
And what did I have for breakfast, man?
Yeah, just pretty much.
Yeah, that setup is just wild. All the stuff that goes on, I'm sure.
It's so cool. I mean, a lot of people see the production and they're like, oh, this is cool. But I don't think they realize how much actually does go into it. Between like just his IRL backpack is the most complicated IRL backpack that exists. It's all custom. He's very tech heavy, very audio heavy, obviously, because of all his production work in music. That thing is a amalgamation of just tech. It is a unbelievable work of streaming technology, and it's not something you just be like, okay, I'm gonna buy one. Like, you buy a streaming backpack, you're not gonna get what Jordan has. That's for sure. It is a marvel. That thing is wild.
It's art.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's
really,
like,
yeah.
I remember we were me, Cheebs, Ellie, who is Jordan's wife, were in our little Airbnb we had close to the area, so we could like base camp there the night before. And he was he had all the stuff like spread out. And I'm not even kidding you. Like the backpack unpacked fills a space that's like a 5x5. Like, and then all the other equipment. It was wild. Like, and he's added more since too, which is even crazier. But yeah, people just don't realize, and I say I'm kind of repeating myself, but they just don't realize like how I love that production. I'm such a big fan of Jordan's a personal friend of mine, but also I'm just such a big fanboy of his work with Paranormal Detour, and I feel like I'm turning into an advert of Paranormal Detour, but it's a very cool piece of technology, and he's very proud of it.
It's actually I also had that idea back in like February this year. I realized no one was kind of doing that kind of thing, and I was like, that would be cool to do. How much? I was like, there's got to be a lot that goes into it. How much goes into it? And I started looking into it, and the more I looked into it, the more I was like, I don't understand enough of the tech to be able to do this.
I honestly don't either, and it would be something that obviously like I would never copy it because he's kind of like the first big person to do what he's doing, but like if I even were to try, I don't even know where I'd start. Like that's how complicated the tech is. Between having to get, he's got like a special box that like switches between services to keep the like show going, even if there's like bad service areas. It's wild. It's just
wow.
Again, it's a fully custom project, and it's super cool. Super cool. If you're a techie, and you haven't watched Jordan's show, you should check it out next time. I mean, it's in a little bit of a hiatus, but a couple months from now.
Yeah. And something I've been wondering, how do you stay up all night for that?
For me, it's not bad. Like I have a streamer schedule, which is super unhealthy, but like, I am, up until probably like 3 to 5-ish in the morning, go to sleep. I probably only sleep like 4 or 5 hours, wake up. And like, there's a number of reasons for that. Like, it's not just the streamer schedule. Like I don't sleep well, I have breathing issues, stuff like that. So like for me, it wasn't hard, but to prepare yourself for something like that, I think you need to probably do a couple nights of adjusting when you go to sleep, when you wake up, stuff like that. I think the biggest thing was when we were going through it, and like actually going, it goes so fast. It goes
Oh, I'm
so
sure.
fast, and especially for us because it was such an active night. I really don't think I even like realized how quickly the night was going as we were going on. So, and I was never tired. It was a little hot because it had just stormed and it was in the middle of the summer. So it was a little muggy, but like beyond that, like it was just still quiet besides like the noises and stuff. And like it was definitely like it wasn't like I didn't have to push myself. I didn't need like monsters or energy drinks or
Yeah.
anything like that. I think the adrenaline kind of just takes over in the end, and you kind of just you power through it. Yeah.
There's just always something happening. It's like, okay, as soon as you get a moment to breathe, it's like, oh god, what was that?
Yeah, and especially for us for our stay where we stayed at the Museum of Women's Prison Museum, or Colorado Prison Museum. And it was weird because there was an active prison, like it shares a wall with an active prison.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like there was nothing going on in the area at the time. Like there was prison guards, like, you know, walking the walls and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but like we were pretty isolated in the building that we were in. But it went quick. It went super quick. I don't know. It just, I think it's mostly the adrenaline that takes you over.
For sure. And you say you do a lot of horror games too?
Yeah, so I love horror. Horror's been always something that I've enjoyed.
Gotcha.
I try to play a lot of indie horror if I can. I try to play obviously the stereotypical horror games that you would play, or the big AAA horror games like the Resident Evil stuff. You know, Callisto Protocol I just played through. I have Dead Space coming up, which is super exciting, the Dead Space remake, because I helped work on it. So I'm very excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was part of, it's kind of over now because the game's about to launch, but I am / was part of the advisory creator council that worked on Dead Space for the last 2 years.
Whoa.
So yeah, for the last 2 years, I've been working with a team of creators. I can't talk about everything yet because the game isn't out yet and my NDA is still active. But basically, it was a council that helped advise the creation of the game in terms of everything from marketing, gameplay, things that they wanted to implement that were new things, stuff like that. Everything was run by us, and our direct input went into a tremendous amount of the game, actually, a tremendous amount of the marketing, the game. Yeah, they ran everything through us. It was a really, really cool experience. It was also paid experience, so that was nice.
There you go.
So yeah, so you know, as hence my EA hat. But
yeah, like that's wild.
But motive. Oh no, go ahead.
So that's wild that there's a team of creators brought in to discuss this game.
Yeah, it's a new thing that EA is doing. They do it. They don't do it for every game, but they do it for games like this or projects like this, where they want to make sure that they are either pulling in people that are, you know, lore experts, fans of horror, fans of Dead Space. For a lot of us, it was A, we were content creators, and B, we're fans of Dead Space, hardcore fans of Dead Space, and to kind of give a make sure that they are not echo chambering themselves in terms of the game creation, because it's so easy to this is what I'm regurgitating, but there are times it's so easy to make a game and think you're doing everything right. But sometimes it's nice to have someone from the outside looking in, an advisor, and that's what we were, a group of advisors to really show or to give our advice on what, you know, what they were doing, if it was correct in terms of like what the fans want to see. And that's why I'm so excited about the Dead Space remake, because it's a remake,
so cool.
But it's everything that I think it's going to be more impactful and better than the original. And the original is one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. I'm just so excited for it. Wow. So it was a great experience. It was super fun. I'm
I bet
very blessed to have been a part of it.
Does that come out next year? Yeah,
it comes out January 27th, I believe.
Oh, coming up.
So like a month. Yeah, a month. So I'm very excited. Gonna have a lot going on for that. So I'm very, very, very pumped. January 27th. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Which is ironically one of the council members' birthday too, which is kind
Oh,
of
there you
funny.
go.
Mike Lobos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Lobos does a lot of Dark Souls stuff.
yeah. So so they brought in this team of creators. You all feel pretty confident about it, good about it, because games are kind of in a weird spot right now. Would you say? There was,
Oh,
like
for sure.
I said earlier, there was the highlights of Elden Ring, Ragnarok, but there was also, and still are, a lot of complaints with Overwatch. There's some complaints with Fortnite. You could argue there's a lot of games that had rocky launches, new seasons starting with just busted stuff. Um, Pokemon coming out, fun, good game, but also Skyrim of the Pokemon series with all the glitches.
You know, oh no, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you
No,
were...
so do you think there's any feedback this year would be taken into stuff in the future? Do you think they're going to be like, okay, maybe we've gone too far with this. We should kind of start to give these guys a bit more time to make games now?
I think the biggest problem and this is I've seen now that I've been working with, a studio and seen behind the scenes for the first time ever. I think it's changed my perspective on the way I kind of look at game studios and what's going on right now. There's a lot of issues with, not issues, but work from home has provided a lot of challenges for development teams.
Mm-hmm.
And while, it's great and keeps everyone safe and stuff, it's difficult from a design perspective and from the perspective that it's very hard to get things rolling. Like there's a lot more meetings as opposed to like going to somebody's desk and going, hey, I need this and this, boom boom boom, okay, it's done. And it's like a little bit more extra step. So I think that developers, because in the end it's about money, I'm going to be honest with you, it doesn't matter what game it is, God of War or Elden Ring. And hey, remember Elden Ring's launch, PC players, like it was something rough. Like 55% of PC players could not even play the game.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. And it's game of the year, but it still had an amazingly horrible launch. It was a terrible launch, but it's overshadowed by how good the game was. And then to compare that, we just had Callisto Protocol come out, which I think is a pretty good game. It's not Dead Space, it wants to be, but it's not. And I had fun with it. I really enjoyed it, but it had a really, really bad launch, and because it was just an okay game, it got a lot more criticism than, say, like an Elden Ring or a God of War, because of that. And I think with all the new unique challenges that developers have had to face in the last couple of years, I think they're doing their best. But the reality is, unless you have an unbelievably large budget, like, any of the AAA studios, and even some of those budgets aren't as big as a lot of people think. The guys at the top, in the end, they're trying to make the most money off the smallest budget. I mean, we live in a capitalist society. It's not going to change. I'm sorry, guys. Buckle up, because that's just the way it is. It sucks, and I don't agree with it. But, it's very, very much showing its ugly head in the gaming industry the last couple of years because of the situations that developers have had to kind of put themselves through. So, I hope going forward, as the world kind of hopefully returns back to normal, that these developers will have a chance to spend more time on their games. I hope that the publishers, if it's not just the studios, the bigger publishers will help these studios by giving them more time. You're seeing it, actually. People don't give enough credit, but you're seeing it with all these delays that are going on with these games. Delays are not a bad thing, because if the game came out when it was supposed to, it would probably have been like a Cyberpunk situation. I think the Cyberpunk situation from a couple of years ago really has a lot of developers on edge, because they don't want that to happen to them, especially because Cyberpunk 2077 in 2022 or in 2023 is a good game. It's a very good game.
Really?
But it got destroyed because of its launch, and it's it was a terrible launch. There's no excuse.
There's another No Man's Sky.
Yes, pretty much. Again, like,
which I hear people are like, "Oh, it's so great right now. It's great to play. Like, it's a beautiful game." Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's a phenomenal game, and I think it's just another just chapter in the book of, I've learned that every answer can be pretty much every question can be answered with when it comes to the gaming industry. Why did they make this choice? Usually it's about money or budget or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about what they wanted, because there were even things that we had suggested or seen for the Dead Space game, obviously, that I can't mention, but wouldn't mention because it's not in the game anyways, that just couldn't make it into the budget. Just couldn't make it into the budget. That there just wasn't time, there wasn't money. And that's just a reality of, if every game developer got everything they wanted in a game, you wouldn't see games for 10 years.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see games for 10 years. And I guess that's why Elder Scrolls is taking so long.
Oh man. You imagine it takes all this time and it's just another like Skyrim launch.
Yeah, well,
I'll say, but I think some people like this. I don't know. Something about Skyrim's just kind of like imprinted on people's hearts.
It's a great game.
They want to see
it's
that.
the last big RPG, fantasy RPG like that that really had the depth and replayability and scope that it did. Obviously, you always have the Dragon Age games as well, but it was like the last one. We haven't seen a Dragon Age game. Obviously, there's one in development right now, but we haven't seen that in a while. We haven't seen a Skyrim or Elder Scrolls game in 10 15 years almost. Something now, like that, or whatever it is. I don't even remember when Skyrim came out, but like 2011 maybe. I don't.
Yeah.
When was the first launch? I think it was 2011. So it's been a long time.
God.
2011, November 11th, 2011. It's tough. It's tough. It's I'm interested to see Starfield coming up next year. I think that game is going to be. People have no faith in Bethesda, but I think it's going to be really, really great.
Something about it. I got a little bit of faith in it. I think it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good.
I think it's going
to be a game that hopefully one of the games in the groups of like this year's kind of God of War, Elden Ring, Stray, type era. And I'm hoping we get more games like Stray. Something small team based. Is indie, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Stray is indie, yeah.
Was nominated for Game of the Year, nominated for a bunch of other stuff alongside these major titles.
Yeah.
Just a single player game. Just no online multiplayer, no DLC, no after launch things, just a game.
I think cats had a lot to do with it, but
that too, yeah.
But it's like the thing with indie games is that they're so good. The problem is they are indie, so like they don't have the marketing budget. They don't have the budget that a lot of business. So the really, really popular indie games are either going to be ones like Stray, where it's like you got to play a freaking cat, so people are like, "Yes, this is it." You're already feeding into. You're already winning there. Yeah, exactly. You're already winning there, but it's also like a very cute, awesome story with some undertones that were heavy, and it's tough to get kind of the notoriety as an indie game. I've seen so many indie games fly under the radar, and it's a shame just because people aren't necessarily willing to pick up a game for maybe $30 and it's not not that good, but they'll pay $60 for a dog shit AAA game that's terrible and not good and doesn't it's just a complete waste of time. So it's like it's a weird dichotomy where like it's trying. I've noticed it's very hard to convince sometimes, and not surprisingly though, because the capitalist perspective is not people just don't have as much money to throw around anymore.
Yeah,
and indie games are not at $9 anymore. There's a lot of $40-$50 indie games. And they got to make money too to justify what they do. So it's very, it's such a weird thing. Such a weird thing. I'm hoping in the future that more games like Stray get the notoriety that they deserve.
I really hope so. It was just nice to see just a plain normal video game again.
Yeah.
Even I play Destiny 2 a lot, and their new expansion is coming up. I replayed through some of the old stuff, but you can play the campaign with other people, but I always just play it solo, just me. It's just me, my controls, and a video game. And it's just nice.
Yeah, man, I do miss the days when I was like right out of college, working, not like my career job, just working a job and then come home and like binge like 6 hours of, Witcher 3, which next gen
Yeah.
update just came out. So I'm super
Yeah.
excited about
It looks
that.
so good.
Oh man, I miss that. It's just like, it's the age of PC gaming and the internet and indie games and stuff like that. It's created so much ability for people to see these games, but it's also created, I kind of compare it to, the brewing industry, because when I was brewing, like my job was to just make the beer, make the product, but my marketing team was there to make make the label stand out in a wall of labels so people choose our beer. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with video games. There's 10, 20, 30 games that come out every day. Now, most of those games are going to be very poor quality indie games, but maybe even if it's like 1% or like 1 or 2 of those games is a decent game, there's 365 days in a year. That's, if you just do that math, that's over 700, 800 games a year. Like, no one has that time or money to do all that. So you're getting to the point where, now it's such a lucrative industry. It's an industry that has so much potential in terms of content creation, and, and gamers are, more accepted than ever. You have PCs, you have things like Switch, like accessibility is huge, it is a slaughter to try to get your game in front of the people.
Yeah.
I would imagine like marketing teams and stuff are, if you're a good marketing person, hey, get into the video game industry, because you'll probably end up making 6 figures in no time if you really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, oh no, losing it.
That's okay. It's okay. It happens to me every day.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, I feel like it's probably an easy question, but how much do you think content creators are starting to influence? I mean, you were on a team of creators to build the game, but on the marketing side of that, how much do you think someone seeing their favorite creator playing this new game is going to help them? Like, okay, I'm going to go get that or download that right now, because who goes to stores and buys games anymore?
Yeah, well, yeah, I miss that too, man. Yeah. I miss the old GameStop midnight releases. Who doesn't, from my age, miss that? I would say that I just kind of lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. See, just did what you did.
See, there we go.
Yeah. What was the question? Sorry, run that back on me real quick.
Very good. How much are content creators affecting how well a game does? Or
gotcha. I think there are examples of it making or breaking launches for games. And there are examples of it not doing much.
Yeah.
So I think that content creation is important, because there's a whole world of YouTubers and Twitch streamers now that are influencing a untold amount of people to play games, to be introduced to games. I think the problem is that variety, from a streamer's perspective, variety content is so volatile. I would love to play whatever I want all the time, but the reality is that's not something you can do. No. It's just not. Not when you do it as a job. Yeah. And that makes it tough, because when we talk about how do influencers affect the market, they do affect it a lot. And you look at games like Lost Ark and New World, games that are popular but had massive launches and then dipped off real quick. A lot of that success is directly attributed to streamers like XQC and Lyric and all those guys, the big guys up top. I think that what marketing teams and what games need to do more of is things like EA. I know everyone loves to hate on EA, even though they keep, by the way, guys, they keep putting out banger after banger, but no one says anything anymore. But... Yeah, they've been putting out amazing games, but everyone wants to see EA.
But that one game back in 2010, oh man.
I know. Oh man, watch out. But they should be doing things like the program that I was part of, bringing us in as advisors, things like sponsor stuff. Like, even if these big companies have marketing budgets for this stuff, and you don't always have to go through, obviously getting XQC or Lyric on board, that's going to be huge, or Shroud or whatever. But like, if you just pay like a bunch of smaller content creators too, like they
Yeah,
reach, a lot of the 1,000 viewer people, the 500, even the 100 viewers.
definitely.
So I think they, to answer the question, now we've kind of come full circle. Yeah, I think content creators do a lot in terms of affecting the way this industry is going in terms of its marketing. But I think there's a ton of stuff that isn't being done still. There's a ton of content creators, really good content creators that are just smaller or marginalized or stuff like that, where they don't get as much attention in terms of maybe just their Twitch numbers, but their impact is way bigger than themselves. That it just aren't being utilized or not utilized, but worked with enough to really push some of these games over the edge. And I think unfortunately a lot of it is that marketing teams are just kind of like be like, well, they'll play it anyways and they'll give us free promo. But like there could be a much better conversation, a much better way to go about stuff, and work directly with content creators, big and small, to kind of push forward where the industry is going in terms of marketing and working with content creators to promote games.
Yeah, I like that, using, even the not top, but still large, medium creators. Like, I don't know, I don't always have time to watch some of the top tier people who have thousands of people in chat, and it's hard to feel like it's a stream. It's more just a TV show. Whereas I can watch you, Detune, it could be equally Little Leggies, someone that's a little more community based, and you can interact with everybody, and it feels like you're interacting with the game almost. And I would feel more inclined to look into a game, get a game, if one of you all were playing it, as opposed to, oh, of course, Stroud's playing this.
I agree, and I think it's tough because like finding those people and trying to find the right people is tough. I think the industry as a whole needs to do a better job of creating. There are some resources and places you can go to sign up for, potential sponsorships and whatnot, and do it. Most streamers have to do it themselves, though. They don't have an agent. They don't have, an agency that comes to them with work. It's mostly about doing it yourself. I think one day there will be, kind of like Stream Elements does. Like, I'm not always a huge fan of the way that they their team handles their sponsorship stuff, because there's a lot of controversy with a lot of their payment stuff and whatnot. But what they do is they make sponsorship stuff more accessible to the everyday streamer. And it is still based, a little bit on your, followership and stuff like that. But once you break those thresholds, it's a lot easier to like follower thresholds are a lot easier to break through than viewership thresholds. Viewership thresholds are rough, so they do that in terms of accessibility. They do make it more accessible to work with companies, but overall I think that there needs to be more companies and more middlemen type companies that work directly with these big conglomerate game industries and work directly with them. Because I know people that have direct lines to companies, but like they don't, like, it's not a lot. And if you were to ask me like how many people I know that have a direct line to like Microsoft or Nintendo, or it's like it's very few and far between. And there really should, they have the budget. They have a marketing budget for a reason. It's tax write-off stuff. Like use it.
Really.
And so we'll see. It's frustrating as like I'm a partner obviously, but I'm a smaller partner. So not saying that doing all the work yourself is frustrating, but it is tough sometimes to find sponsorship content for the month. Not that I rely on it, but it is definitely helpful.
For sure.
Especially like when I want to work with a company. Like I would have loved to do like a Callisto Protocol sponsorship, but unfortunately I could not. I didn't fit the criteria to do it, and I also couldn't find who to contact. So it's tough. But I always say, and a lot of people have been saying lately, just if you're a content creator and you want to see change in terms of what we're talking about right now, post content of games you like, of things you like. Find the community manager for that game, reach out to them, send them a thing or a list of all your social media stuff and where to find you and yada yada yada, what you do. Ask them to stop in, say hello, stuff like that. It's all about connections in this industry,
Oh,
and
for sure.
while it's tough to do it, and I think there's a lot of room to improvement, there still is opportunity out there for sure.
Absolutely. On that topic, kind of back away from the whole creator gaming thing, what got you into brewing now?
Oh man, honestly, so I was a Division 1 college hockey player, club, but it
Oh.
was very good. And the club team that I played for was basically a team that was looked at. A lot of the people in the league, that the top players in the league that I was part of, New Belgium, that's the brewery, um,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
uh, got drafted. Like it was legitimate. It was legitimate league where people got drafted, and so I chose the school that I went to get drafted into the NHL. I was a starting
Wow.
goaltender on a Division 1 ice hockey team. It was exciting. I didn't get drafted, and
Uh,
unfortunately, I got hurt my junior year. That affected a lot of things. I was splitting time my senior year. I played well, but not well enough. And to be honest, it kind of just I saw the writing on the wall, so I didn't really know what I
mm,
wanted to do coming out of college. I knew I liked beer. Beer was something that I really enjoyed in terms of craft beer, so I wanted to learn how to brew. Never thought it would happen. I kind of didn't have any plan, but I started working at a liquor store as a craft beer manager for a liquor store. I took care of all the craft beer, bringing in what we could, trying to have the best selection, all that lovely stuff. And eventually, I started meeting people in the industry, and I started working and spending time with a gentleman who was opening a brewery in a couple towns over from me. And I basically did a lot of free labor to get offered a job
mhm.
there, which I don't recommend doing. But in this case, I didn't really have any other options. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I've been there too.
it opened the brewing world up to me. I became what's called a cellarman, which a cellarman is someone who works under a head brewer to cellar beers. That's the whole cold side of the brewery. So all the fermentation tanks, pitching yeast. I mean, there's so much dropping hops in there, dry hopping. There's so much stuff you got to do, but it's all on the cold side of the brewery. None of the brewing. I worked as that, and I got taught how to brew by actually literally one of the best brewers in the country,
Oh, damn.
um, Jody Andrews, who was the head brewer for two of the biggest breweries in the country. And she happened to work at this brewery for a brief amount of time, taught me how to brew. I left that brewery soon after because, unfortunately, the owners were whatever, and I didn't really want to be part of that operation. But then I was a part of a really, really wonderful brewery for about 5, 6 years. Um, and I became a brewer there, and then the head brewer, or lead brewer. They would refuse to call
Mhm.
me the head brewer
Oh, come on.
because ego from the owner. He wanted to be the head brewer, even though he
Of
didn't brew
course.
anything. That's common in the industry, by the way. A lot of people call themselves head brewers when they're just the owners of the brewery.
Of course.
Um, but there are some head brewers that are owners that said, "I brewed for 10 years. I don't want to fucking brew anymore. I'm going to hire someone else to brew." That's different.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of people with money the last like 15 years that decided to open up breweries because they thought it was cool and then called themselves the head brewer. But anyways, I was the head brewer, and I brewed for a long time, and it was super fun. But unfortunately, during COVID, that all changed.
yeah.
You know and I had to shift focus. Not to say that I would. I mean, I'm an award-winning brewer. I have one of my medals hanging up right behind me.
Oh, that's so cool.
Um, yeah, I've won numerous awards for many of my beers. The brewery I worked at in New Jersey won New Jersey Lager Brewery of the Year 1 year. So I've done a lot. I have a pretty good resume. It's been a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It's something I would go back to if streaming. Streaming is fun. It helps me pay the
Mhm.
bills, but it is streaming. It's very volatile. You
Oh,
never
yeah.
know when things are gonna go downhill, especially when you do this as your job. Um, So, that could go away at any time. So I'm always have that in my back pocket to go back into the industry if I want to. Maybe not brewing again because it is really backbreaking work, and I'm not getting any younger. Not that I'm old, but I'm not getting any younger. But I could still work in the industry in some regard.
Gotcha.
But it was fun. It was a fun time.
That's really cool. I had no idea about. I had seen like professional brewer in your bios and stuff, but I didn't know the backstory on that.
Yeah. It was
so cool.
It was a very awesome part of my life. It was very, very cool.
I think that was about all I had for you, Crispy. I really, really appreciate you coming on and doing this.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. This was a lovely little chat. I do appreciate it. I hope you do more and more of these. We need more talk shows like stuff on Twitch. I think a lot of people get scared that there's like a monopoly on talk shows, but there's really like just not many out there.
Yeah.
And this is a really cool thing. You keep on doing it.
Thank you. That's what I noticed, and I was like, no one's doing it like late night talk show style. Kind of.
And you know what?
And I commit too hard to the bit. I built this desk in like Photoshop and Illustrator.
I love it. No, it's good though. I mean, I'm trying to work on in the next couple months a morning show for morning streamers. I'm trying to currently I'm reaching out to people to see gauging interest for co-hosts. But I don't know if you're familiar with Drop Frames, but Drop Frames is a show that's been around forever. Has Co-Carnage, Me JP, and what the hell's his name? Ezekiel the Third on there. And they're old school Twitch guys, and basically it's just a weekly talk show where they talk about, gaming news, stuff like that. They have massive people on there because they're big. But I'd love to do a morning stream or morning talk show type thing where we talk about, anything from gaming news to movie news to TV news to, anything and everything. And something I'm going to be working on. And I think there needs to be more of that stuff. There is no time slot. There is no day that it has too many of these things,
Yeah.
So, if you're thinking about it out there, people, do it.
Yeah.
And keep at it because this is fun. This is a really good time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Everybody, be sure to go check him out. If I can type the keyboard. There we go. Go give him a follow. Check him out. Your schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays at noon Central.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday.
Sunday.
All generally around 1 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. I don't know. No. Yeah. No.
10 a.m.
10 Pacific. Yeah. So whatever your time zone is, I usually go off Eastern because I used to live on the East Coast for so long. But for you Central, it'd be 12 noon.
Gotcha.
So usually about that time. But I don't stay too strict to it, but generally around there you'll find.
Cool. Sure, go check him out and stop in on the 23rd at 4 p.m. Eastern. Check out his charity stream. Even if you can't donate, just go show some support. That sounds like a fun, awesome time.
And remember, any donation to any charity stream, even if you could just donate $1, it adds up. Trust me.
It does.
There's nothing wrong with donating $2-3 to a charity stream if that's all you're able to do. Trust me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, Crispy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you have a good rest of your night.
You too, man. Thank you.
All right. Take it easy, bud.
Yep. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I really appreciate it. This is something I was been thinking about for the better part of half the year on doing, and I finally just took the big leap to do it. This is our second show. It's been going great so far. I really appreciate everyone being here. Big thank you and shout out to ChrispyGamePlay again. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for being here. Have a great night, everybody.